Welcome to Byte-Sized Tech, where we blend casual conversations with insightful discussions on the latest in technology and gadgets.
Hey there. Yeah, it really feels like things are speeding up, doesn't it? I mean, the research you sent over, it shows AI isn't just a helper tool anymore. It's stepping up, acting more like an autonomous agent. You see it in work, learning, even keeping our stuff safe.
That's exactly what we're digging into today. We're going to pull out the really practical stuff from that research, how AI is changing the way we work day to day, plus some really crucial privacy tools everyone should know about, and yeah, a couple of warnings about new hardware too.
Exactly. So our mission here is basically to quickly break down this info so you walk away with knowledge that actually matters. We've got three main themes lined up. First, how AI is, well, kind of taking over workflows. Second, the essential guardrails for privacy and, importantly, safety. And third, some hardware and software updates you probably need to act on. Let's kick things off with maybe the biggest headline in the material. This huge shift in computational autonomy, like AI doing things on its own for longer.
Yeah, that new Anthropic update, Claude 4.5, the claims are pretty massive. They're calling it the best in the world for coding tasks. What's really behind that claim?
Well, it's not just like slightly better code. The big deal is endurance. The research highlights this major architectural leap. It lets Sonnet 4.5 apparently run autonomously for over 30 hours straight.
Wait, 30 hours?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
The previous one, Claude 4, was what, 7 hours max?
Barely 7, yeah. So 30 hours of the AI just working away unsupervised. That's a fundamentally different thing.
Okay, so what does that actually mean for someone like an engineer or an architect using it?
Well, it changes how you approach big multi-step projects. Think about it. It's the difference between asking an assistant to draft a quick email versus asking them to manage a whole project for weeks. With this guaranteed context, keeping track of everything for over 30 hours, the AI can tackle really complex stuff, like debugging a stubborn problem across a huge code base without losing its place. It doesn't need constant hand-holding from a human. It sort of shifts the human engineer's role more toward high-level oversight, the creative problem-solving part.
But hang on, 30 hours running solo? Doesn't that also mean 30 hours where errors could creep in and just multiply? Did the sources talk about the risks?
Oh yeah, it's definitely an acknowledged risk. The implications are huge, especially in fields like finance or cybersecurity where one mistake can be catastrophic. The current thinking seems to be that these agents will still need human checks, definitely. But the fact that they can hold context for that long, it points towards a future of highly trusted, long-running autonomous workflows. Eventually.
Right. And this idea of autonomy, it's spilling out of just coding, isn't it? It's heading straight into, like, our everyday office software. Microsoft's even got a name for it. Vibe working.
They do. And the idea behind vibe working is basically you just use natural language, you describe the vibe, the outcome you want, and you let the AI generate the actual thing. We're seeing this pop up in the new agent mode for the web versions of Word and Excel in Office 365.
Okay, as someone who spent way too long fighting with Excel formulas, the idea of just telling the AI, hey, make me a pivot table showing quarterly sales growth by region compared to last year, and it just does it, that sounds almost too good to be true.
That's the whole point. It builds these complex documents, these spreadsheets, just from simple conversational prompts. And it's getting smarter. There's this Office agent feature in Copilot chat that can pull real-time data from the internet to whip up a whole PowerPoint presentation or a research report, all from one request. It's basically vibe coding, but for, office work.
And that focus on just talking to the AI, that intuitive conversation, it continues with Google too, right? We saw how Gemini is changing for learning and for shopping. Tell us about guided learning.
Yeah, this one's interesting because Gemini is trying to tackle the problem of actually remembering stuff. It doesn't just spit out an answer and leave. It turns it into more of an interactive tutoring session. It breaks down complex topics into smaller bits, asks you questions to check if you got it. And here's the key part. It adapts its next explanation based on how you answered. So the goal is you actually retain the information, not just passively scan it.
Interactive. And for shopping, there's that new conversational image search in Google AI mode. It's rolling out in the US now. Sounds like that vibe search idea again.
Exactly. So now you can use really subjective, kind of vague descriptions to find what you're looking for visually. Instead of rigid keywords, you could search for, say, bell-barrel jeans that aren't too baggy. And then you could add another layer, like, okay, now show me options in dark tones and bold prints. The AI gets the context, the feel you're after.
Speaking of feel, that brings us to Nano Banana. Which is admittedly a slightly silly name.
Yeah.
But it's the photo editing side of Gemini 2.5 Flash.
Mhm.
It has some really practical uses, right? Like
Yeah.
telling it in plain English to remove that bright pink pillow that's ruining your otherwise perfect photo.
Totally. Or even for more serious stuff, like enhancing old, faded text on a document to make it readable again. It can even, apparently, completely change a messy kitchen background in a photo. But importantly, the sources pointed out, it comes with some built-in safety guardrails, which is good.
Yes, those guardrails. That leads us nicely into our next big topic. Because if AI agents are getting access to so much of our work and personal stuff, it immediately makes you ask, well, who controls the data? And that brings us to the absolute need for better privacy and safety tools. Let's start with a real villain here, the data broker.
Ugh, data brokers. They're everywhere. These companies basically scrape up, bundle, and sell your personal info, your address, maybe your income range, where you shop. They sell it to businesses, sometimes governments, and definitely to scammers. It's this massive, invisible privacy hole for pretty much everyone.
Which is why we're seeing these data removal services pop up. How do they actually work? What are they doing?
They're essentially acting like your lawyer, but for data privacy.
Mm.
They use laws like the CCPA in California or GDPR over in Europe, which give you the legal right to have your data deleted.
Hmm.
So these services automate scanning hundreds of these broker sites and sending out formal opt-out requests over and over again. It saves you an impossible amount of time trying to do it yourself.
Right, because navigating each broker's opt-out process is a nightmare. But the research warned this isn't like a one-time fix, is it?
Exactly right. That's the crucial limitation. Your data can, and often does, just reappear later, so it requires continuous monitoring by the service. And remember, they're going after the brokers, not the original source. They can't remove, say, public government records or stuff you willingly posted yourself on public social media.
Okay, shifting gears a bit to user safety, especially for younger users, let's talk about those critical new parental controls OpenAI launched for ChatGPT. This came after some really serious lawsuits and safety worries.
Yeah, this is a really big step. If parents link their accounts with their teens, they get controls to do things like disable the voice mode, turn off image generation entirely, set quiet hours when ChatGPT won't work, and make sure their kids' conversations aren't used for training OpenAI's models. They could also try to reduce exposure to sensitive content.
What's the most significant safety feature they added?
It's what they're calling a first-of-its-kind safety notification system. It's designed to try and detect if a teenager might be expressing risks related to self-harm. If it detects something concerning, it alerts the parents immediately and provides resources. Crucially, it does this without giving the parent full access to the chat history, aiming for a balance between safety and privacy. It's trying to intervene only when there seems to be real danger.
And Meta's doing something similar with its AI chatbots, putting up guardrails.
They are. Meta's training its AI specifically to refuse to engage with teens on really high-risk topics, things like self-harm, suicide, eating disorders, or any kind of inappropriate romantic chat. It shows the whole industry is realizing these AI systems can become dangerous confidants for vulnerable kids if they're not carefully engineered to back away from those conversations.
Okay, one more security point before we jump to hardware. Google Drive's new AI feature to fight ransomware. That sounds useful.
Definitely a practical security boost. Google Drive is now using an AI trained on, get this, millions of real-world ransomware samples. It actively watches for signs of malicious file changes, like suddenly encrypting lots of your files at once, which is what ransomware does.
So what happens if it spots an attack like that?
It acts fast. The AI automatically pauses file syncing to stop the damage from spreading, sends you an alert about the possible attack,
Yeah.
and really importantly, it lets you easily roll back the affected files to an older, safe version from before the attack started. This kind of defense is becoming more critical. Apparently, global ransomware attacks jumped 15% in 2024.
Wow. Okay. So that takes us from the sort of invisible world of AI agents and security threats to the actual physical tech we wear. Let's talk wearables. And we have to start with a pretty serious safety concern that came up in the research.
Yeah, the smart ring market definitely took a bit of a hit with that news about a user who reportedly ended up in the hospital. Their Samsung Galaxy Ring apparently had a battery swell up, making it physically impossible to get off their finger.
Oof, that is genuinely scary. A battery swelling up right against your skin.
It's a stark reminder, isn't it? We love these devices for tracking health, but we're basically strapping lithium batteries to ourselves 24/7. Now, Samsung did say these cases are extremely rare, but the user involved basically said, nope, never wearing a smart ring again. It just highlights that there's a non-zero risk with having power cells that close to our bodies.
Okay, well, on a much more positive note for wearable health tech, let's look at the Apple AirPods Pro 3. This sounds like a genuinely surprising step forward in biometric tracking.
It really is. The new AirPods Pro 3, they have accurate heart rate tracking now. There's a new sensor built into the side of the earbuds. What really jumped out from the testing data you shared was the accuracy. It was consistently high, and sometimes, get this, it was found to be more accurate than the Apple Watch Ultra 3.
Really, more accurate than the dedicated watch. So if you don't wear a watch when you run, you could just trust your earbuds to log your heart rate properly into the fitness and health apps.
Absolutely. It seems the system is smart enough to use whichever sensor source is giving the most accurate data at that moment. And given how stable earbuds can be in your ear canal, sometimes that might actually be the AirPods.
Interesting. Okay, let's wrap things up with a couple of quick software fixes that can make life easier right away. Starting with Windows 11, especially for people who just upgraded from Windows 10.
Yeah, a lot of folks moving from Windows 10 get thrown off by the centered start button and maybe some extra clutter on the taskbar. Quick tip, you don't have to live with it. Just dive into taskbar settings, look for taskbar behaviors, and you can easily switch the alignment back to the left. Instantly feels more familiar. Also, while you're in personalization settings, take a second to unpin default icons you don't use, like maybe pins, widgets, or task view. Cleans things up nicely.
Good tips. And what about eye strain, especially on these super bright laptop screens a lot of us have now? I need a quick fix there.
Oh, definitely. Enable system-wide dark mode. It's usually under settings personalization colors. Just switch the mode to dark. Makes a huge difference, especially at night or on bright OLED screens. It flips supported apps to darker backgrounds and lighter text, which is much easier on the eyes.
Simple but effective. And finally, on the Apple side, they pushed out iOS 26.0.1. Sounds like a necessary bug fix update.
Yes, this was an important one. It squashed several bugs that cropped up right after the big launch. Things like Wi-Fi and Bluetooth randomly disconnecting for some people. It also fixed those weird, unwanted artifacts in photos. Strange distortions, especially noticeable in high-contrast situations like concert lighting.
And crucially, didn't it fix some cell network problems people were having with the newest iPhones?
That's right. It specifically targeted cellular issues. Some iPhone 17 and iPhone Air users were reporting stuff like calls dropping sporadically or losing service altogether.
Yeah.
Frustrating stuff for early adopters. So, yeah, good to see Apple address those connectivity problems quickly. Just shows that even the fanciest new hardware often needs immediate software patches.
Okay, wow. We covered a ton today. We saw this incredible shift towards AI agents that can practically work on their own for like 30 hours. We talked about the vital importance of protecting our data from brokers and the new safety controls for kids using AI. And we finished with some real-world hardware issues and improvements, from scary ring problems to surprisingly accurate earbuds.
Yeah, and if you pull back and look at how it all connects, Copilot, helping with your work docs, Gemini, trying to teach you things more effectively, AI security, watching your files. This new wave of AI, it's really becoming more of an interactive agent in our lives, isn't it? It's doing things for us, managing important data, handling workflows, which maybe leaves you with a final thought to chew on. As these AI agents get more powerful and more autonomous, how much of your work, your personal data, even your family's safety, are you actually willing to hand over to an AI? Something to think about.
Thanks for tuning in to Byte-Sized Tech. If you enjoyed this episode, like, comment, share, and subscribe for more fun tech discussions.